Hello and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show. You are joining us for our final episode of season 4 as we
Oh,
talk about the final season of Stranger Things, at least the first 4 episodes of that. So, Caleb, first of all, how you feel about wrapping up season 4 here on the
I can't.
Moonshine Jesus Show?
I can't believe it, man. All I can think of is, it took them almost 10 years to do 5 seasons for Stranger Things. But for us, I mean, it didn't take nearly that amount of time. Think of how more efficient we are than the
I
Duffer
tell you
Brothers.
what, I will say, and it's only slightly. I think our production value is a little under theirs, but not by much.
Just barely. Okay.
Just
Yeah. You just barely be able to tell.
yeah, we just sneak it under there. But you can tell a little difference. Let's do a little housekeeping though. We are brought to you by the Center for Progressive Christianity, a fantastic place for all of your progressive resources. Encourage you to check them out. We're also sponsored by the Progressive Christian Alliance, a diverse, inclusive community reclaiming faith through justice, compassion, and radical welcome, as well as sponsored by the Christian Left, where following Jesus means standing up for the poor, the oppressed, and the truth, no matter how unpopular it gets. So, as I said, we're going to be talking about the first 4 episodes of the final season 5 of Stranger Things. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we have proper hydration for this. I'm curious, what themed cocktail did you come up with for Stranger Things?
So I did one called the Upside Down, which may be what I did last time. I can't remember. It's been
Fair
several
enough.
years since the last one we talked about.
It's
Three
been
and a
3
half.
years. It's been 3 years since we talked about it. Yeah.
So I don't remember what I drank last time, but this is called the Upside Down. It has vodka, simple syrup, lime juice, and blackberries. You can see the
I like
blackberries
that.
kind of creating the illusion of the
I like
vines
that.
and things in the Upside Down, and a little bit of food coloring to help with the color
Give it the
there.
color there. Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
How
I
about you?
was not nearly as creative. I did something called the upside down old fashioned, and it's just an old fashioned, except like instead of regular simple syrup, I use dark brown simple syrup.
Mhm.
Instead of regular bitters, I used a black walnut. It still looks just like I was hoping it'd come out dark. It just looks like an old fashioned. I'm going
But
to
a little
enjoy
bit
it.
upside down.
A little bit, but I do enjoy an old fashioned, one of my favorite drinks. So by the end of the show, though, I will have turned this upside down. So we'll get there. All right, we're gonna take a quick drop and come back on the other side and geek out a little bit about this show. Cheers.
Moonshine Jesus. Moonshine Jesus. Moonshine Jesus. Moonshine Jesus. Won't you shine a light?
Hello and welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show, where today we're talking about Stranger Things Season 5. And of course, if you haven't seen it, you're going to find out a lot about it here. So
Yeah,
if
I
you,
should have mentioned spoilers ahead.
the spoilers ahead, and I know that this is one that people will want to be surprised by.
Yes,
So if
absolutely.
you haven't seen it, just make sure you come back and listen to us after you've been surprised by what's happening in Season 5. If by some chance you are unfamiliar with Stranger Things, it takes place in the 1980s in Hawkins, Indiana. It is filled with nostalgia and it defies genres. It is horror and comedy and coming of age and all kinds of stuff. And a group of young friends witness supernatural forces and secret government exploits. They search for answers, and the children unravel a series of extraordinary mysteries. And it takes them all over the place, from Hawkins, Indiana to California to Russia and even to alternate dimensions. And so it is a real, I guess, a real kind of showstopper kind of show. It has
Absolutely.
defied so much. So I guess, Mark, I'm curious. we were in our household, we were going to sit down on the night it came out and watch one episode. I told my wife, I said, okay, let's watch one episode, then we'll catch the rest tomorrow. And we sat down, we watched one episode, and then we watched the next episode, and then the next episode. We just binged them all. I'm curious, how did you watch these episodes, and how did season 5, part 1, stack up for you to other seasons?
I did the opposite of that. I sat down intending to binge watch, and after the first episode, I went, I need time to think about this.
It was an info dump, man.
I felt there was so much there was so much impact in there, and I wasn't 100% sure that I refollowed it all. I actually went back and watched the first episode a second time before then watching 2, 3, and 4. And actually, sort of the same thing happened with 2. I think 2 is a little different. 2, it was more about me. It wasn't that there was a lot there. It's that I don't know. I wasn't quite grabbing hold of the story quite as clearly as I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I actually went back and watched 2, but then I watched 3 and 4 along with it. And I thought that this season so far is fantastic. I like what they're doing with each of the characters. I like the way that the story is unfolding. Going back to you talking about how they play into different genres of television.
Yeah.
I've really thought that they've done an excellent, they've leaned more horror and a little more shock horror even this season than in the past. So I've made it a little stronger. This is not a kid's show. And this season has made it really clear that it's not a kid's show. But they also, some of the humor parts have been absolutely fantastic. They have done one of the best jobs I think I've ever seen on television of putting pure horror and comedy right in the same scene. And it just the scene when they try to catch the Demogorgon and they kind of do a whole Home Alone thing to the house where they rig the whole house up.
Yes.
There's so much great humor in that. It's also like shock, it's horror at times. You jump scares and gross things and killings and slime. And I mean, they couldn't have made it much more fun.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And you know what's funny is my kids had watched Home Alone the same day that we
had they really?
Yeah, so that scene
wow,
really did stand out to me for that reason. I mean, this is I think one of the things I love about Stranger Things too is that it does play into nostalgia. It does borrow from some of I think our favorite movies. I mean, the fact that in season 3 they go to see Back to the Future together, right?
Yeah.
And then
they make little jokes about the Back to the Future. Well, they went back to the past. Why do they call it Back to the Future?
There's something wrong with the flux capacitor. We gotta go.
Yeah. And there's been a couple of moments where you all but saw the same, even the way that they set the screen up of some Harry Potter-ish kind of things going on.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's like you said, is there nostalgia baiting in this? Absolutely. And I'm in for all of it. It's a blast.
Me too. Yes, so much fun. Yeah, I love it, and I agree. This season I think has been really strong. I'm not sure there's been a bad season of Stranger Things, but I think season 3 really hooked me. I think season 4 really built, and this even goes even further. And when looking at how each of the episodes was received, each episode of season 5 was received better and better, which I think is a fun way to watch it. Because times you'll start off strong, will kind of dip, and then you'll go stronger. And so I think each episode being a little stronger, it pulls you in. I do think it was hard. Episode 1 was hard because there was a lot of information, and my wife was sitting there. She's like, "Wait, what's going on? What exactly happened?" And it was an info dump, but I did think it was that the way we got the info dump was Robin on the radio, kind of giving. How did that sit for you? Did you like that?
I thought that was fun. Yeah, I agree. I knew we were in for something fun and interesting when we got part of Will's backstory, and they had somehow the de-aging there was pretty well done. And I don't know if they got a child actor to do a body double for it, but it played off really well. And I thought, okay, that they're setting us up to let us know they're going for everything on this one.
Yeah.
And it was really
Yeah.
well done. And then the radio, the whole radio bit where we kind of learn a lot. That was, I know there's people who will complain about it, about what a cheap and easy way. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I thought it was too. I like seeing Steve and Robin too going from Scoops Ahoy to Family Video to the radio. I just think it's fun, and also kind of like an 80s trajectory of Jobs too.
That's
I
right.
think that's great.
Very,
okay, so
very much so.
there were a number of new characters this season.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how do you think they fit? And did you like the characters? And if so, did you have a favorite?
I did think the casting they did really, really well. And I'm not going to be able to pull up the character's name or the kid, but the kid that ultimately Vecna is going after, that they go and kidnap from the house that we talked about.
Dipshit Derek.
Dipshit Derek, yeah. I really,
or delightful Derek.
You're delightful, Derek. Remember, you're delightful. Delightful Derek. He was great. I loved his character.
Yeah.
I loved the character arc. I had the biggest smile on my face when they were inside the camp where all the kids were, and he had them all on the bunk beds, and he was I liked it when he was walking, like this kid who had been nothing but a jerk, even to his own sister, even to his own mom, had them all sitting around with their eyes closed and go, now picture yourself on a beach and the water rolls in and it's like the lapping of a dog. It's just like, man, that's fantastic.
he was great. I loved him. I really loved Holly though. For me, like Holly was one of the standouts of this season.
I agree.
I love now that our like core group has aged and the actors are now adults playing these high school kids.
Yeah.
That it kind of re-energize some of that youthful element, the coming of age element stuff, all of that cool stuff. I thought, she's played by a different actor. The character is played by a different actor this time. And I thought the recast was really well done. She was engaging to watch. And I'm going to ask you about your favorite team up, but my favorite team up was whenever Holly is in kind of this mindscape and she encounters Max, and just that moment where she encounters Max was something I didn't see coming. And I love Max. I think Max is my favorite character. And so
Max is great for sure.
I love and
the fact that we got Max back was that was another one of those moments when knocking on the door and the door opens and you see Max and I just instantly like cheekbones raised up and smiling. I'm like, we got Max back.
Because I mean, at the end of last season when Max was in a coma, no, not Max. Anybody but Max. Because I mean, she was the heart of season 4.
Very much so.
And so I loved seeing Max and Holly kind of team up together in the mindscape. I think that's going to be a fun. It's already been a fun pairing. I can't wait to see what that looks
100%.
like. How about for you? Did you have a favorite team up?
I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna fall back on a very early pairing, and it was just it's such a beautiful relationship and journey they've been on. It's Hopper and Elle, man. When
because they were back together, they weren't together at all last season.
Exactly. Them coming back together and all of their banter together and the very clear caring for one another, but also needing to be strong on their own. For me, I just that really hit me in the heart in a way that I just loved. It just I was thrilled for those characters every time they were together and kind of fighting for each other. I absolutely loved that. Loved it.
So I love that too. And even though Hop was I know out of a place of caring, but kind of tough to take this season.
It is his character though. He's always been we expected the most and been a little standoffish and harsh, which is part of why I like this, because he did soften up a few times to protect her and say something about how much he cared for her and that's why he's doing the things he's doing. And it just it landed well for me.
I love to see that, and I love to see them spend a lot of time in the Upside Down. So,
Mm.
one of the other things that happened is that between the season 4 finale and season 5, there was a Broadway play. And one of the
Yes.
things that we discover is that key plot points were revealed in the
In the
Broadway
play.
play that most people haven't
Don't know.
seen. How did you feel about that?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
If they're going to do that, they need to make the play available, and even if it's just one camera shot of the full stage, where you can go to Netflix and for $5.99 watch the play, because it's not going to change the number of people who will show up at Broadway and pay to see it, because it's a very different experience. It's going to be just okay. But there was a lot of, particularly about Henry, that we needed to know that's in that play that you have no way of knowing, and it really already is heavily impacting what's going on here, and even some like trying to theorize the hierarchy of the Upside Down. You kind of need to know some of the Henry backstory to get there. I don't like it. It really actually does bother me.
Yeah,
How
I'm
about
with you.
you?
It bothered me too because I mean, I obviously also have not seen the Broadway play, and
Mhm.
so I had to. Whenever we see the scene where Max is entering his memory and he's back in high school, and they're
Right.
making reference to the play,
Mhm.
I didn't get that, and so
Yeah.
then I had to go and read the summary of the play to learn more about Henry. And so this is important for that. It's important to know why Max is hiding out in the caves and all of
Yep.
that. And as you just said, it has a pretty big impact into the hierarchy of the Upside Down, which is what I want to ask you about next.
Okay.
I'm curious, who do you think is the real big bad? Is it Vecna? Is it the Mind Flayer? As it seems like the play might suggest, or
Right.
is it something else that we don't know about yet?
Well, congratulations. You have stole one of my stump
Yes!
questions.
I'm
You
ending the
have.
season strong. Yeah.
You're ending on a high note. You definitely stole one of my. Here's what I think. I think that, and this does come from also reading a little bit about the play, and then piecing together as you watch the show and think
Yeah.
back over the other seasons. I think the Mind Flayer is it is the big bad, but it's more of a ancient cosmic entity, energy power source, and that's what Henry tapped into and became Vecna. So Vecna sort of brings human ego and strategy and purpose to this ancient cosmic entity that's the real power and the real source of everything. That's where I think it lands. I don't know. Is that a little out there? Or
No, I think it's the Mind Flayer too. I don't think I know enough to be able to say what exactly the Mind Flayer is. I mean, honestly, that's what I'm really looking forward to knowing in the last few episodes, because I'm a little bit stumped by it all,
Yeah.
because in season 4 they talked about at the beginning Vecna being kind of like the general for the Mind Flayer. But then as the season went on, it seemed like Vecna really
Vecna was
was
running. Yeah.
running the show, right? But
Yeah.
then in the play, it seems like Vecna encounters the Mind Flayer. Young Henry,
Yeah.
encounters the Mind Flayer in the caves, which
Mhm.
ultimately gives him his powers and leads him down the path that he went on. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's the Mind Flayer. I don't think I know what that means yet.
I think that's
And
fair. Yeah.
and I can't wait to see what this. I've got
Yeah.
a bunch of other questions that I want to ask you, Mark.
I hear you.
But we're already over time on this segment, and we
Okay.
need to talk
Yeah.
about the theology and politics of
Fair enough.
streaming. So let's take a break and let's come back and talk about theology and politics.
welcome back, and you are joining us for our theopolitical segment. I'm going to start with kind of a blanket question about a general theme of the show that they address at the very end of this kind of mid-season cliffhanger. So in Stranger Things, fear literally kind of strengthens the monsters. And in U.S. politics, fear is the kind of go-to strategy of authoritarian leaders. How does the mid-season ending that I just mentioned, where Robin says, "I just needed to stop being so goddamn scared," how does that sort of expose the danger of fear-based politics?
Yeah, and I think great question, Mark. And I think that, in the season, certainly that our characters, in order to be able to confront these monsters, do have to be able to confront them. And that's one of the things that sets them apart, right? They're able to overcome their fears when everyone else is blissfully unaware until
Right.
a Demogorgon shows up through the wall and it kills them or injures them or whatever, right? And so I think that that's true for us too, that one, it's not good to be blissfully unaware of what's happening, because that's how your rights get taken away little by little. And I also think that fear is a huge contributing factor, both in being afraid to confront the dangerous reality that we're living in, but also the ways that fear is weaponized to get people to fear other people, as you said, so that authoritarian regimes can rise to power. And so I think that one of the other things that we have to quit being afraid of is each other, right? That, like, if we're able to see humanity in each other, well, then that's our strength, right? That's how we stand up together. If all of a sudden you're not afraid of the other, well, then people lose their power. If we're not afraid of immigrants and refugees, the Trump administration loses their power. If we're not afraid of people who have a different sexual orientation or gender identity, then they lose their power. If we're not afraid of losing power ourselves,
Yeah.
they lose their power. And so I think that's one of the counterintuitive things that the gospel teaches us, is that, like, the stuff that you think is going to protect you actually makes you more vulnerable. So, yeah, I
I
think leaning
completely
into the
agree.
fear.
I completely agree. And I think another piece of that is fear separates us, which you kind of touched on as you kind of walk through the different groups of people they try to make us afraid of, and it separates us. And our largest strength is when we're not separated, is when we come together as community. We see that in the show over and over again, that they do the best when they come together as a community and everyone uses their particular skills and talents in the best way possible, that it comes together as a group. And I love that. If you're stuck in the middle of fear, you're not going to trust the other people. You're not going to come together. You're going to go at it alone. And that's one of the biggest myths that we get sold all the time, that that's the best response to fear, is to go it alone and just be strong and brave. And it never ends in a positive way. And it just allows folks to continue to manipulate you. And as you said, justice-centered theology pulls us away from fear. Like that, if we want justice, we have to lose the fear of other that they're trying to ingrain in us. And so, yeah, I hear you loud and clear. I think that is something we need to think about. There is a reason why the angels show up and always say, "Do not be afraid." So
That's very Advent appropriate.
I tried. It was all. I also had snuck a question about hope in here somewhere. If we get to it, we'll see.
I love it.
Had to, right? So Eleven's journey this season. I think it sort of raises big questions about bodily autonomy, consent, who gets to control power. How does the show reflect current political fights over bodily autonomy in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean,
And I guess I want to add, and what sort of theological framework should Christians use thinking about self-agency, and that kind of thing?
yeah, I mean, certainly 11 and where she's, and I think we see it mirrored with Will too, that
Mhm.
that both Eleven and Will are kind of are controlled by other people and what other
Mhm.
people think is best for them, and in Elle's case, how she can use her powers, whether or not she's strong enough, what she can do, and then in Will's case, we discover that by suppressing him, they're actually keeping him from flourishing,
Yeah,
right? Got his whole coming out story as a part of that. I
which is
love,
beautiful, actually.
yeah, I love the way those things are wrapped together.
Yeah,
And so, I certainly we see this in the United States today. We see, people. We see all kinds of legislation being passed to determine how people's bodies will be used, especially if they are pregnant.
yep,
And we see the Supreme Court reversing landmark decisions on this as well. It seems like everything that comes before the Supreme Court, they take some steps
yeah,
back on. And so I think that in terms of a theological framework for this, uh, I think, first of all, seeing each person as a full person with inherent worth and dignity is a good
yeah,
place to start, because we're always in trouble when we don't see people as full people.
yeah,
And we've had a track record of making disastrous decisions in this country because of that stance.
yeah,
Uh, and I mean, I think a desire for human flourishing. I think that that is a scriptural desire, that we
yeah,
shouldn't just survive, but we should be able to thrive. We should be able to flourish, and that means staying out of people's bodies and people's lives a lot of times. And
yeah.
the scripture does seem to say that that people should be allowed to flourish on their own terms. And so I
Absolutely.
would say that that would be the theological framework I have. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. What's the verse? I know the plans I have for you for hope and a future. That definitely there is a biblical bias towards people flourishing and doing
Yeah.
well. And when they don't have bodily autonomy or just self agency of any sort, you're limiting that. I actually kind of like some of the smaller ways it was shown
Mhm.
about self agency anyway,
Mhm.
with both of the kids who were with their parents, as
Mhm.
their parents tried to limit and control what they did. And it was when they were old enough that they were ready to be out. The parents just weren't ready.
Right.
And when they stepped out, we saw things change, and we saw the relationship change. But we also saw them coming back and saying, "Look, I'm sorry it worked out that way, but this is right. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for allowing this to happen."
Mm.
And I thought those are little beautiful ways of showing that to bring both of our questions together, the parents need to stop fearing and trusting, and instead start trusting their kids and giving them the agency that they deserve. Because a lot of the great things that happened in these first four shows happened when the parents were either put in a position where they had to or kind of allowed it to happen. I thought it was kind of beautiful and
Yeah.
something that we need to see more of in shows for sure. Um, so the Hawkins crew keep redefining family as those who show up for each other, basically. How does this sort of found family ethic push back against the let's call it more exclusive God and country family values rhetoric that dominates the politics of Christian nationalism?
Trad wives and trad
Right.
husbands and
Mm.
all of that
Oh yeah,
stuff.
that stuff.
Well, I mean, I think we see that a lot of that junk it's fake, right? It's not that stuff isn't real, and I think first of all, any kind of like traditional values that people have, we've got to realize are recent traditional values. They're not
Right.
actually biblical values, as we've
No,
talked about a number of times. That the Bible defines marriage, defines family in a number of different ways, depending on what
100%.
you're reading and who it is that's writing.
Yep.
And the way we typically think about traditional family is
Mm.
just one of the many ways. So I think that whenever we see chosen family in Stranger Things, we also see a stronger family, right?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
whenever they are coming together on their own terms, and even though they are this crew of misfits that in a lot of ways have no business being together, that by circumstances throwing them together and them choosing to stay together, that
Yeah.
through that choice they become stronger. And I think one of my favorite things about the show is that we get new characters each year, some that stay, some that don't make it, but they all are kind of adopted by this family and find their own unique place. And by that I mean that like no one is forced to become something else other
Yeah.
than what they are. And it also means that the characters can grow and change and they're still a part of the family. I think about Dustin in this season.
Wow.
Like he is
100%.
clearly mourning, right? And it's affected
Big
his
time.
character. And
Yeah.
yeah, they give each other shit, but it's still family and they stay in
Yeah.
together. So to me, that's one of the real values of the show in helping us understand chosen family. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely agree. And I wouldn't change anything you said. I think you're right on the money. I think one of the other things we see is the kind of rhetoric that we get from Christian nationalists and what they define as family. A lot of that still has to do. If we can define it this way, we can also define who has control, who has
Mm,
power.
mhm,
And one of the things I like how the Hawkins crew does it, as you described it very aptly, in terms of letting people be who they are and celebrating their skills. That isn't about power. That is about community. And
mm,
I think that's one of the beautiful things that's oddly Stranger Things does over and over again is celebrate chosen family, celebrate community, and the strength that comes with it in comparison to a lot of the pieces and people and organizations that we're introduced to that we see as evil have hierarchies and strong power structures and people who are being commanded and instructed and have no agency. So I really kind of love that the strongest pieces we see have everything to do with full acceptance and community. Listen, I have several more questions, even one about hope, but we're not going to get to that because
Peace,
we've already
joy, and love.
peace, joy, love, whatever. You know the season. You know the season. Um, this has been a lot of fun, and I wish we could go into some of these other questions, but we also don't want to miss our favorite segment, the
No.
Make Me Look Stupid segment. I want us to get to it before you steal another of my questions. So we're going to go ahead and end our theopolitical segment and take a quick drop, come back on the other side for Make Me Look Stupid.
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We're entering our Make Me Look Stupid segment where we try to make our co hosts look stupid. Perhaps we might ask something we don't understand, something we hope they don't understand, or we ask them to make a prediction about the future, which is what I
And
am
let me
going to
guess,
do.
yes. I had this sneaky feeling.
Because we will find out relatively soon. I probably asked you to make predictions 3.5 years ago, but
You probably
who knows
did.
who knows what those were.
Please
So-
no one go back and listen to that. I probably completely butchered it that long ago, and all the stuff that's happened since then. Oh, I can't even imagine.
I can't even remember what the conversation was like. But I also want to make sure that we talk about this because I mean the biggest reveal of the season here is that Will has some powers that he
Yeah.
has tapped into the Vecna's network, the Mind Flayer network, whatever
The
this
hive
is.
mind.
The hive mind that he can see, and as we find out can control some the demogorgon, some of the stuff that's happening. I'm curious, what do you think Will's role is going to be in wrapping up all the storylines this season?
I think so. Will's power in comparison to L's is limited. Will
Yeah.
is tapped into the hive mind, so everything he does is directly associated with the demigorgons, with uh, Vecna. Um, so, in order to answer the question, you have to kind of think about what you think is going to be the outcome to figure out what his role is going to be. So, I think that he is going to at some point have to hold back all of the monsters. I think that there's this one scene. I'm jumping all over the place, but that's what my head's doing as I'm trying to put this together.
Yeah.
There's this one scene.
I love that. I love that you're also going to give a prediction on how you think it's going to end.
I have to. I
love
to.
this. Yeah,
It's the only way I can get to. I don't.
Yeah.
I think Will's role is going to feel important, but I don't think it's going to be the most important role. And and it comes back to this one weird little scene. It's when Lucas's sister is in school, and they come up to the window to get her.
Who I also love. Oh, the wormholes. Who I also
fantastic.
love. Erica, I love. I'm a big.
She
Erica
is
fan.
great, man. That when she was like, "What would you 30? You have 35 seconds," and they start to, and he was like, "I can't explain this in 30 or 46 seconds." And she was fantastic.
You have 1 minute.
That's your time.
59, 58, 57, 56. I can't explain this in 56 seconds. Yeah.
That's right. And then her watch beeps. She goes, "That's your time." And she rotates on her heel. I love her character so much. So, but the professor is talking about wormholes. That's just too random.
Yeah.
That's on purpose. That's on purpose. I think the solution here is going to be that they have to go into the upside down and trigger something. I think it's going to take both L and Will. Will's job is going to be to keep all the monsters from messing with L. L's going to do something that's going to travel back to that time that they are stuck in, 1983 or whatever it was, the day that she first was probably I am answering some of my own questions here.
I'm just going to let you keep talking. Yeah,
I
just keep
hope I
going.
have something left by the time I'll have to scan them and go, is there anything that happened? Okay. So I think that they're stuck in a time that is when she first got introduced to the Demogorgon, and that's the 1983 or 86, whatever the date was. I think it's 83 that whole upside down stuck in. I think there's going to be time traveling involved that she's going to control somehow through what's under there. That's going to put them back to the moment that she did the actions that started all of this, and that she's going to make different choices. And that we're going to see things play out very differently, and we're going to see much happier outcomes and endings. And I think we're even going to have a scene where Hopper's daughter Sarah is alive, and that the whole gang gets introduced to Hopper's girl. And so I think Will's job is going to be, he's going to basically hold back the entire horde of monsters so that Elle can do her thing, to do the time travel that she's got to do in order to change the outcome of everything. So that's kind of where I think it's going. And I think that he'll have the two of them will have to work in tandem together for any of it to work out. That's where I land. What do you think?
I agree. I think Will and Will and Elle, I think they're going to have to work together, powers together, to ultimately defeat the big bad, who probably is the mind flayer. I think wormholes are somehow important. I don't know exactly how that is going to be. I kind of hope that they don't go back and change things in the past. So even though we kind of said Back to the Future is going to be an inspiration for this, and so I don't know, but I would really, I think, hate to see all the bonding that has happened change. Because it,
I mean, some of it's trauma bonding, so maybe some of it's okay for it to change.
Fair, but but people, I think this goes with, like, people's experiences are what they are, and so I would love to see them, like, come out of it without altering the storyline. I think.
Yeah.
I also think there have been some theories about whether or not the true Henry is somehow stuck in the mindscape.
Right.
And so I would be interested. I think there's a possibility that maybe Henry isn't all bad as Vecna, and
Yeah.
the Henry we've been introduced to isn't the true Henry, and maybe he might see some redemption in there.
Mm.
But ultimately, since we're mostly talking about how we think this is going to end and not about Will's power, I think you're right. I think we both agree that it's going to be Will and Elle together that are gonna have to use their powers in tandem, along with the ordinary everyday powers of the whole gang to defeat the big bad.
I like it. Well, listen, I had 5 questions, which is very unusual. Usually I only prepare 3.
Yeah.
You took one of them down. Then with your question, you took a second one down. And then in answering it, I took 2 more down.
So there's one left.
Yeah, and it's the least interesting one. It's like you've ruined the show, man. We're ending on a note that's not that exciting.
Well, I mean, but it's good for me. I feel vindicated because really have not done very well this season in terms of like stealing questions.
You made up for it here. You not only stole 2, but in asking the question the right way, it made me feel like I had to answer some of my own questions to get to the answer you were looking for. So kudos to you, man. Kudos, really. No,
thank you.
You made up for the ones you fell short on without any doubt at all.
I appreciate that. Yes.
All right, so here's just a simple question that we all thought at one time during these episodes. What's up with the flesh wall?
So I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, trying to figure out what I mean, I'm just going to admit I'm ultimately kind of confused about it. I'm not sure what it is. Because I've thought, okay, well, is the upside down just limited to Hawkins? Like, is this just the only place?
I believe so.
But the Russians too have tried to from Russia have tried to get into the upside down, right? But they had to come to Hawkins because Elle had actually penetrated the wall there. So I thought, well, is it just Hawkins and that's like just all that exists and there's the wall? Then I've wondered, like, is this somehow tied into, like, in the mindscape, the canyons, the rocks where Vecna's afraid to go because that's where Henry got his powers. Because whenever you look at them, it also looks a lot like the rocks. And I thought, is there something there that Vecna's beyond that or something? I'm just gonna say, I don't know, Mark. I don't know what it is. I'm stumped.
Yeah. I think it's still the big lingering question.
Yeah.
I've thought all kinds of different things. Currently, I guess I think it's the biological extension of the hive mind, and it's acting like if the hive mind is all of the upside down, the wall is the skin of the hive mind. It's the protective layer. It's the piece that tries to hold everything in and keep everything out.
Yeah.
How it functions and why it does what it does it's a mystery. I have no clue. Yeah. And I'm desperate. I will be a little sad if they don't give us a fuller explanation of what, because it's too big, too massive, too important in the storyline.
Yes.
To not be answered what that is all about. Don't you think?
Yes. And I mean, like, also, whenever in season 4, whenever Henry 1 is sent to the upside down by Elle, it seems like he's got this massive world to explore, right? The way they portray it in season 4 is he's like wandering all around and he's exploring the world and he sees the Demogorgons and then he comes to the Mind Flayer and all of that. And they make it seem like he forms the Mind Flayer in that one, but then we find out something else. But, like, is that Justin Hawkins? Or I'm confused about how exactly the upside down works, how large it is, what the scale is. And I think
it's fair, man.
I don't know.
That's one of the beautiful things about it. And it's better not turn out to be lost.
Yeah, that's yes. So that's my fear is about, because I've also seen people theorizing about that. Even my daughter, who doesn't know who hasn't ever watched Stranger Things, but just has heard us talking about it and is so offering her point of view. She's like, well, it's probably all going to be a dream or so. I'm like, it had better,
It better
not be. Okay.
And they better tie up some ends. And unlike Lost, don't leave a lot of ends untied and give us this really oversimplified almost answer but not answer. I will not be happy. Tie up the ends.
No. Just one other thing I've got to ask you about that we haven't talked about is Linda Hamilton. What do you think about Linda Hamilton being in the season and kind of replacing the Dr. Brenner character?
I like her character better.
Yeah,
she finds that edge a lot better than what she's replacing. I really liked her fight scene with Hopper. Man, I was impressed. I was like, you go. I mean, I know that the stunt double was in, and I was thinking about how they were doing a lot of the cuts, but
she is great. Almost 70 years old. But
exactly.
but also, I mean, it's Linda freaking Hamilton, and so
how are you going to lose? And I love her take on the character. She was almost the most real character in the whole thing. I knew it was Linda Hamilton, but she felt like that person.
Yeah,
and I mean, we'll take her in any show they want to put her in. She's just great.
Absolutely. Oh, well, Mark, this has been, I mean, it's been a fun episode talking about Stranger Things. I so love Stranger Things. And it's been a fun season, man. The
Moonshine Jesus.
There's been a lot of good stuff this year.
We have hit so many fantastic things that have come out this year. I'm always grateful and thankful for the conversations we have, the places that they go. We don't script this show outside of pre-scripting our questions. The other person never knows what the question that's being asked is. So a lot of this is our genuine kind of first reaction and trying to sort through this together. And a lot of times, this is what I really love. We have the best time. But I love thinking back on a show about the things that collectively got revealed as one person listened to what the other was saying and played off of it some, and it reshaped a space. Yeah. And we end up in places that it's like, you know what, that's fantastic. And it gives me something to hold on to for a while. I love that about the show. And I love that having you as a partner for that is the best, man.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. It helps me appreciate the shows more. And Absolutely. It helps me appreciate I think the sacred in the everyday more. Mm-hmm. And this show is just it's a high point for me, and I appreciate being able to do it each week. And,
Absolutely, me too.
The stuff we watch too, man.
It is. It is. It's so good. And I think we're going to take the rest of this month off, right?
Yeah. Yes, I think that sounds like a good idea.
We'll start the new season in January. Mm-hmm. Why don't we just jump right back in with Stranger Things, man?
I think that's good. We'll get both of the releases, right? The next release is it Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, the 25th.
And it's 3 episodes.
And I think they're about an hour and a half each-ish.
And then does the next one come out on
Eve?
New Year's Eve. Okay. And that was like, what,
over
2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what I'm doing New Year's Eve. I'm putting on the Netflix countdown so my kids think it's midnight and putting them to bed so that I can then go and watch the end of Stranger Things. So
I wish they'd have had that when my kids were growing up, man.
I know, man. It's
that's so good.
They even like end with fireworks and stuff. They feel like they've done all the stuff and they can just go to bed. And
that's awesome.
It is awesome.
Netflix loves parents.
Yes, or their money, at least.
Or both.
or both. Well, I'm grateful to Netflix, grateful to you, Mark, grateful to all of you who listen each and every week. Thanks for a great season 4. I can't wait to see you on season 5 of the Moonshine Jesus Show.
Moonshine